Hi, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Marriott MBA Today. I'm your host, Dan Jimenez, and today in the studio we have the Economist case team from the BYU MBA program. And the case team consists of Brock Burrows and Steve Minear, and we're also missing your other teammate, Jorge Montalva.
Yep.
So I want to give a shout out to Jorge, make sure he knows that he's missed, but thanks for coming on today, guys.
You bet.
Good to be here.
So why don't we start out with having you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Sure. For the last 10 years, I've been a CPA in Houston, Texas, working in public accounting and also working as a business unit controller for a couple of companies, one of them public and one of them private equity backed.
I also have about 10 years experience working in healthcare and most recently in technology. So it's good to be back to BYU.
Great. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Economist case competition is?
Sure. So in theeconomist.com had Carson Block, who is a short seller forensic accountant, create the actual protocol for the competition, and he gave us the case of Zillow and Trulia merging together. Funny thing is that it just closed this last week, and so the FTC approved it and everything, but our job was to go and evaluate whether it was a good long-term play, whether it was a short-term play, or whether we should avoid it altogether.
And who were some of the other schools that were also competing in this case against you guys? Lots
Lots of great schools, including MIT Sloan and a couple other big ones. I can't remember off the top of my head.
And I think I remember reading there's some like international as well, so not just only in the U.S., but INSEAD and some of the other big ones.
And Hong Kong, yes, exactly.
That's what made this case competition unique, is the fact that it was international.
Yeah. And how did your team get selected to represent BYU?
So we went through a BYU round. So me, Jorge, and Steve, we put together a team. Early on, we didn't know it was going to be as much work as it turned out to be. It was a lot of fun. But we competed in the BYU internal round. Apparently did well enough. And then once we won that, we advanced to the international.
Yeah. Great. And you talked a little bit already, Steve, about kind of the overview of the case. So Zillow, Trulia, and like what was the big question you're trying to answer?
So the question was the merger a good idea? Were they going to be able to create the synergies that they claimed they were going to be able to create by growing very, very quickly? Because neither company is profitable as a standalone entity. And what they said is that they thought that they were going to actually be able to merge and create a lot of synergies in both costs and revenues and be a more valuable company. So far the street has loved it. They've gone up a lot in value. But over the long term, we don't think that those synergies are actually going to play out the way they think they're going to. And so our recommendation was to short the stock, especially since there's a lot of smart money interest in the failure of the merger.
Interesting. And Brock, could you tell us about what resources your team tapped into here at BYU to help you analyze the case?
So we were very lucky. We had a great deal of resources in leveraging BYU, whether it be professors. And so this was a case based around a situation that we weren't really familiar with. So there's stock, there was shorting, a bunch of other aspects that we necessarily didn't have experience in. And so, but we had the opportunity to go to multiple different professors and sit down and really learn about this in a short period of time. Also, this case spanned in multiple weeks. And so it really allowed us to dig deep into the case and the analytics and the reason behind. And so whether it be library resources, we used a lot of our own fellow classmates as resources, but we felt like we were well supported and able to put together a good product representing BYU.
That's great. And in reference to your recommendation, Steve, you said that there's some smart money behind the kind of the shorting side of things. Can you talk a little bit more about your specific thoughts and recommendations?
Sure. And this is kind of a shout out to Professor Drake, because he let us in on a kind of a clue that when there's a lot of smart money, or in other words, short interest in a merger announcement, it usually means that a lot of people are betting on the failure of that. And there's a pretty big correlation to say that if there's a high short interest, that they expect it to fail. In this case, it's well over 40% of all of the shares outstanding are floated or are being shorted, and that generally means that even at 15 or 20% would be considered high. Above 40% is astronomical. And so there's a lot of smart money saying that this is not going to work out over the next 12 to 18 months.
Wow. And so recently they announced the results of the competition. Why don't you tell us how you guys did?
So we found out we took second place. So we were very happy about that. I think we definitely feel like we represented BYU very well. We like to win. We're competitive personalities, and so first place would have been nice, but we're extremely happy that we had the opportunity to, especially for this inaugural showing of the Economist case competition, do so well.
Yeah, so second place globally to beat out schools like MIT.
We're very happy.
That's pretty awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And so I'd like to know what your favorite part of the experience was.
For me, it was digging into something that has real value. It wasn't a case that somebody wrote and was very technical in their writing approach. It was a paragraph case, and it said, tell me what you think. And we had to really dig in, and we probably had 5 different hypotheses that we said, oh, well, I think we need to go this way. And then we'd do a lot of research, and it worked out that that was not the right way to approach it, and we found evidence. And so as we narrowed our approach, we felt like we really nailed it, and turns out we did really well with it.
Yeah.
For me, it had to be the scope of the challenge. So, like Steven said, there wasn't a case that we were reading, so a finite set of data. It was anything we wanted to drill into, and so it was extremely challenging in the ways that we went. We were able to, like I said before, leverage the resources, and with our team, us 3, we complement each other very well. Yeah. And so being able to work as a team on a challenge this large, again, over a long period of time, that was the most exciting for me.
Yeah. And here I hear Jorge, his favorite part was late night runs for burritos or something?
It was, yes. It doesn't do too well with the old gastric system, but yes, there was a lot of late nights.
Yeah.
Very cool. And finally, any recommendations you would have for other MBAs that are looking at doing case competitions?
Absolutely. Just do it. Get involved, learn what you don't know, and then fill in those gaps. And you'll be a more well-rounded student, be a more well-rounded professional. It's a great investment, not just whether you win the competition or not, but in your own mind and your own way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
I agree. Just get in and do it. BYU has some great resources, so the Strategy and Consulting Club is a great place to start. But then again, just put yourself out there. It's a tough challenge. It's really unique to being in an MBA and in school, but it's if you're willing to do it, put together a team that you like and you work well with, it's such a great experience.
Yeah. Well, once again, congratulations to you guys. Excellent job representing the program. Super excited with the outcome, and thanks for coming on today and talking to us about it.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
Yeah. So once again, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Marriott MBA Today.